Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, and welcome to this week's Beef Brunch. I got a couple of us on the road today, but we wanted to make sure we get this update done for y'all. So I guess, Ashley, if you guys would you like to go first since you and Tripp are on the road?
Sure. Yeah, Tripp and I went to a farm visit today, so you've got both of us in the truck together. And so I'll go ahead. We're going to reverse the order of this, and I'll talk about our events. I'm driving, so I don't have them in front of us. But again, if you're interested in the AI class that's coming up in October at the Dean Lee Research Station, I've got that information in the video description. I don't have that registration out yet, but I will send it to you, so you can send me an email if you're interested in that class. Backing up, our field days in September. So on Thursday, September 12th, will be our field day at the Dean Lee Research Station and Extension Center. The registration or the sign-in and everything is going to start at 2. We are asking for a head count ahead of time so that I can get meals for everybody. So we'll serve supper that night. So there's a link for you to RSVP there. It is free registration, but just go ahead so we know head count, what to do. We'll have a vendor show. As long as weather permits, we'll go out on a field tour and do some talks and demonstrations out on the station. We'll come back, we'll have supper, and then Lee is going to conclude for us with a talk on adding value to your cattle and calves. The following week will be the Northeast field day, and I'll let Tripp talk on that in a second. Sorry, the AI class was on my brain, so that's what I went with first. That's coming up in October. I think it's the 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the Dean Lee Research Station. And then the week after that will be our pregnancy determination clinic at the Hill Farm, and I know Lee will touch on that as well. So off the top of my head, I think that's about all I have. I know we had been mentioning Dr. Gentry's Master Cattleman class that she was having it at the Idlewild Station in Clinton. That is full. But if you're in that southeast part of the state and you're interested in Master Cattleman, please let me know, and we can look at maybe having another class somewhere down there in that area. I can talk to those agents and see if that would be feasible in the upcoming year. So I don't make any promises, but we can definitely try for that. And that's really, I think, all that I have. Tripp, go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank y'all very much for having me again today. So before we kind of fall into the region update, I'll speak to our field day that we're going to be having on September 19th at Goldmine Plantation. It's our beef and forage field day. It's kind of one of our more marquee animal agriculture events for the Northeast region, something that we're very proud of. And I'm very excited about the field day that we've put together for y'all this year. Going to be starting off the program. Everybody will get to Goldmine around 8:15 for sign-in, and then we'll leave heading back to the working pens at 8:45. Whenever we get back there, Dr. Guidry is coming up to do an economic outlook for us. He does a wonderful job of putting together beef cattle economic outlooks for producers. Some very practical information that you can use to help base your decisions off of moving forward. Following that, Dr. Marcella Vitavato and I will be doing kind of a 2-part discussion. I'll be discussing the importance of forage testing and demonstrating how we do that, and also understanding how to read and understand a hay analysis. Oftentimes we encourage producers to get their hay sent in for analysis, and they receive their paper, then they call us, they say, well, what am I looking at? So we're kind of going to go through more routine analysis and discuss what's represented on there and how to interpret that. And then Dr. Vitavato, based off of the sample that we'd look at, is going to discuss supplementing your cattle through the wintertime feeding, how to avoid overfeeding your animals and wasting money and feeding rations that are unnecessary, feeding more than you need to. That's one surefire way that producers can lower their input costs and increase their profit margin is by closely monitoring their feed bill. And wrapping up our program that day is going to be Dr. Sullivan from Winsboro coming in to do a breeding soundness exam. Breeding soundness exams are something you hear us in Extension talk about very frequently, but there's a lot of people that's never actually seen one take place or really talked to a veterinarian that does these in the field to learn about the importance and to see what goes on during a breeding soundness exam. So very excited about that. We will be serving a meal after the talks are over. We ask that you RSVP by September 15th by calling the Union Parish office and helping us get a head count put together as accurately as we can for catering purposes. So on the region update, Ashley alluded to it earlier. We went on a field trip today all the way from the Union office down to Catahoula Parish. And one thing top to bottom has proven to be pretty consistent is, guys, it's turning off dry in the Northeast region. And I think Lee will have a very similar outlook on the weather on his side of the world there. I guess 2 beef brunches ago, 4 weeks ago, we talked about it starting to get dry, and that kicked off a week-long rain event. We got pretty good moisture. That must have been like doing the rain dance talking about it that day. But since then, we haven't received a lot of rain. In the last 28 days in Union Parish, we've received right at 2 inches, and it's pretty well getting to be powder house dry. On the drought monitor, it's showing a lot of northeast Louisiana, the northern part of the region, to be abnormally dry. And not seeing a lot of rain in the forecast coming up. So that's something our producers are going to have to contend with. But on the flip side of that, a lot of our beef cattle producers in the region are also row crop farmers. So this dry weather is really helping with the corn harvest right now. There's not been a lot of moisture issues slowing down the corn harvest. Now, there's still some water going out on some beans and some cotton, and I know those guys wish they could catch a rain. But it's really been beneficial for our corn farmers getting their crops out of the field. One thing that we're still contending with across the region is elevated levels of armyworm pressure. I don't feel like it has been as bad the last 2 weeks as it was the 2 weeks prior. We're starting to see some control of it, so people kind of getting ahead of it. Either that or we're just not getting the phone calls. I know they're still there and there's still people struggling with them, but I feel like we're in better shape than we were a couple of weeks ago on the armyworm front. But guys, I'm very pleased with the way kind of the second cutting of hay in general has come in. We've seen some pretty good quality. We've had some very good conditions to get your hay crop grown and made. We've had enough moisture to get that made. We've also had windows to get it harvested in. Some years it seems like every time you break the cutter out, you just magically conjure up a rain cloud. And this year really hadn't been that way. We've had some good windows to get your crop harvested and stored without getting that grass rained on and deteriorating the quality of it. So moving into a winter with ample hay stores of good quality hay always makes the rancher feel a little bit better. The heat has been absolutely oppressive. So I would say don't do anything with your cow herd that is not absolutely necessary. And if you have to do something, do it at daylight. I mean, be getting out there, getting animals brought up before the sun cracks the horizon, because it doesn't take very long and we're reaching those critical temperatures. By 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, you're already knocking on the door at 9 a.m. with elevated levels of humidity. You're well into the caution zone with cattle where you need to be handling them with care. Guys, I do believe that is about all I have for our Northeast region update. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton on.
Okay, I think you're passing it to me, so I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what we've been seeing here in central Louisiana. So we've definitely been dry and we've been hot around here as well. I think you guys up in North Louisiana have definitely seen some more extreme temperatures as far as the heat goes than we have. We have here in the last week or so got some scattered showers here and there. The weather did not wake me up last night, but I know several people I talked to this morning said around 2 a.m. or so we had a pretty big wind kicking up. I'm not sure if that was rain with it or not. And we did get some showers here in the around Ville Platte area and whatnot where I was today. And just kind of looking ahead, I mean, thankfully those showers that we did see come in did cool things down a little bit today. So it says right now that it's 87 degrees and sunny, which is a lot nicer than 99 degrees. So I guess we'll kind of take what we can get as far as that goes. And then just to kind of add on to what Tripp mentioned, just with it being so hot. I know last week I went on a visit and to a Brangus operation, and I mean, anytime you were like kind of like, oh man, where are the cows in this pasture? And they were just under, they were on that tree line getting, trying to find that shade during the day. It's so hot, especially on those black cattle. So again, we just want to make sure, that you are providing, if you don't have a ton of trees, maybe look into providing some other kind of shade that those shade stands. I'm sorry, I'm like, what's the proper term? That you can or sheds, I guess, that you could build for them to get some relief from that sun, and just make sure you have ample water available when it's this hot out. We have been getting some calls as well about the army worms, but just kind of similar to Tripp. I do hear about it from people every now and then, but they're not, always calling our office. And then we kind of have some people that are unsure if that's what they have or not. So just want to make sure, kind of look for the signs if you've got some, a good bit of birds out that may be trying to get to those worms, and just make sure you're going in and scouting, scouting those fields, during the days when, or the time of day when they're going to be, out there and active. As far as the hay goes, I know last week, just kind of driving through, Evangeline and St. Landry Parish and Avoyelles Parish too. There's a lot of hay that had been baled recently. And it was really nice. I mean, Ashley was down here last week as well. And we just, round bales scattered throughout fields all over. So that was good to see. I have had a couple people tell me, they said, they just, with there being so much hay this year, and, there's a lot of competition, you're not able to get, super high prices, maybe like you could have last year when the hay wasn't as plentiful. So just kind of economically, we have some people who maybe made the decision that they're probably not going to do another cutting, just because it may not be feasible for them to do that. So of course you need to take a look at, at your operation and what you have going on, and see if it will be feasible for you to make another cutting of your hay as well. So that's about all I got going on around here. Oh, I do have just to add on to the events. So with Lafayette Parish, the agent there, Lanie Richard, her and I are hosting a prescribed burn certification. That'll be next week, August 27th, at the Lafayette office. I'll have Ashley share that information with y'all, and we'll get that out to y'all. But it starts at 5:30, and that's with LDAF putting that on as well. And also, we also do at the Dominique Stockyard here in Opelousas. We have done some bull soundness, breeding soundness exams, excuse me. And we have our fall one scheduled. That is going to be October 24th. And I'll get that flyer out as well, so we can start advertising that. But just wanted to mention those two things we have coming up here. And now I'll turn it over to Lee.
Thank you, Brittany. Very glad to be with you all here today. Certainly echo many of the sentiments shared by everyone here. A lot of good comments there. As far as the weather goes in Northwest Louisiana, the impressive heat really hit the nail on the head. Folks, it has just been plain hot up here. No two ways about it. What sets us apart, maybe a little bit from the northeastern part of the state, has happened in the last 12 to 24 hours. We had a little storm system move through, and a good chunk of Northwest Louisiana picked up some rainfall in the last 12 to 24 hours overnight. And some wind, like Brittany was talking about, and some wind associated with it. I haven't heard any damage with some producers out of power. I talked to one this morning who had some power issues, and so the rainfall amounts have been varied. Heard reports of 3/4 of an inch all the way up to a little over an inch. It's not enough in the grand scheme of things to make a big difference as far as what we've been, but every little bit helps, and we certainly appreciate it. The battle on army lands just continues up our way, folks. People just continue to struggle with them. Maybe slow down just a little bit, like Tripp was alluding to. but I think that they can probably be kind of attributed to the fact that they've eaten everything they're going to eat. Pretty much, we're seeing a lot of multi-generation infestations out in the fields, and folks, if you dealt with armyworms before, that's the absolute killer, folks, when you get multiple generations out in the field at one time. I said this a couple of news updates ago, but we're seeing some resistance to some classes of insecticides that people are using targeting on armyworms. If you're fighting with armyworms, and if you're just not getting the results that you think you should be getting, you might want to contact one of us. Let's kind of go over some options as far as insecticide control methods on this, and maybe talk about what kind of active ingredients you're using, and maybe what we can use instead to try to get a decent kill on it. This rainfall event that I've been talking about here in the northwest part of the state has the voice of blessing, and I don't want to denigrate it by any means, but it's going to bring out another fresh batch of worms on this up here, and people will be right back to fighting and like that. Echo what Brittany says about the hay market, same way in Northwest Louisiana. A lot of hay on the market for this time of year. Prices are fairly reasonable. Might even call it cheap if you're in the hay business. You might call the prices cheap, and folks just take advantage of it. I tell you, I'm astounded at how many people wait until on into the fall or even winter time in some instances for securing their hay. There's never a better time to buy hay than right now, folks, as far as the availability, price, everything like that. So can jump out there and try to get your hay your hay's identified, bought for this next peak season. Jumping right into the cattle markets, I'll give the abbreviated market report. I wouldn't say it's one of the stronger data points we've had last few market reports. And last time we had one of these news updates, I talked extensively about drops in futures markets and kind of the spooky futures market and what he was doing. And thankfully, maybe my fears were unjustified. We did see some negative implications as far as prices that we're still dealing with as of today. But the market has showed a surprising resiliency. I think it just highlights the fact that we're in such a bind as far as available cattle numbers. Folks, we talk about the national cattle inventory and the lack of cattle out there, and folks, this is when it really bites home, whenever we see these kind of events and how quick and how resilient the market can be. So with that, I'll jump right into this week's market update. So on 500 to 600 pounds here, the average of the prices was $2.19 per pound to $2.90 per pound. 5 to 6 weight heifer, $2.19 per pound to $2.70. Cull cows, $1.17 to $1.60. Cull bulls, $1.40 to $1.77. Average of the prices paid, high prices paid for red cows, $2,610 per head. Pairs, $3,120 per pair. As far as percent changes from last news update market report, 5 to 6 weight steers experienced a 4.3% decrease. 5 to 6 weight heifers a 2.2% decrease. News gets a little bit better on the killing cows and bulls, though, folks. On cull cows, we saw a 6.13% increase. Cull bulls, 7.45% increase. Like I said, I can't say it enough. This market's showing resiliency, but just know, folks, just realize that we're at historic levels still on this cattle market, and really and truly get up to levels like those, nosebleed levels like this on these markets, almost looking for something to scare them, looking for something to the shoe to fall, if you will, as far as that goes. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens as we get farther into August, and especially in September, when we traditionally see the big fall runs, folks. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you've been to sale barns and all, when those spring-born calves start hitting the market, people start cleaning their pastures up and getting all those calves out and everything like that. Not only in Louisiana but nationwide. Whenever all these cattle hit market, what kind of impact that's going to make on our cattle market if we can continue to sustain the prices that we're at. I was down at the sale barn in Ouachita last week and had a chance to visit with a lot of friends there, folks in the industry, folks buy a lot of cattle. They're pointing folks as to the people that are gathering cattle for wheat pasture that they're already getting in the market. That tells me that maybe they sense that there may be a bit of a problem getting those wheat pasture cattle bought here in another month or two. It also tells me that potentially we'll have some backstopping on these prices as well. Good time to sell cattle still, folks. We're still seeing these good market conditions. If you got them, now is the time to market them, folks. You're going to look back on these days one day and wish you had a couple more truckloads to sell. With that being said, the only event I think Ashley alluded to it that we got coming up in Northwest region is the Cattle Pregnancy Determination Clinic. It's going to be held there at the Hill Farm on either October the 15th or the 16th. That's a one-day event. You can choose to go either the 15th or the 16th. We do have quite an interest list on that, and we're signing up people daily on that. So I would not hesitate if I were you and you're interested and would like to attend. Please reach out to us. Please contact any one of us. Call the Hill Farm Research Station. Get your name on that list to be notified on that. And even if we are full and you want to attend, please get your name on the waiting list, because that's ever important. The people on the waiting list get first shot at the next immense registration. So with that being said, I'll turn it back over to you, Brittany.
All right, thanks, Lee, for a great update as always. So again, please check the comments in the description, or check the description for several of the events that we mentioned for more information. And as always, thank y'all for watching. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if there's another topic that you'd like to hear about, if y'all have any questions. And thanks for joining us, and have a great week.